2% of dudes rapping, they ain't nice as me. 98% ain't lived the same type of life as me. The judge gave me life and damn, they sent me where the life is be. The level 4 with depth and fights, the type of shit they like to see. Two choices, fight or flee, I refuse to die a chump. I never been a bitch, but damn, it's scary when that riot jump. I seen dudes cry, get punked, some sexually brutalized. Knew a dude who lost his life and he was only doing 5. Year-long racial fights when homie, all you do is ride. Lonely days and nights up in a hole, causing suicide. From the moment you arrive, you see the Mexican mafia, bulldogs and skinheads with big giant swastikas, pro-black philosophers, the BGF and Gumi, and Muslims who will murk you from the nation to the Sunni. The Northerners was loony, quick to ride up on their rivals. Even Christians went to church, hide knives up in their Bibles. Political and tribal, the Crips and Damoos, the Long Beach, the Hubs and the Dubs and the Grooves, the IEs, the Bakersfield, the Dago Pie Rules, the Hustlers quick to roll, the Gangsta Crips move. Whatever clique you choose, you better stick to the...
Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to Life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life. I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. Yeah, that's me flowing on the intro like I keep telling y'all. The flow is nothing like Curtis Blow. If you want to check out more of my music, go to my YouTube playlist, scroll down to gas stations, and you will find a lot of my songs there. Also, I have different topics and categories organized in my playlist, and I'm sure you will find something that you like, man. Let's hop right up into this story. So today we talking about, man, a guy who has a channel known as That Prison Guard. That prison guard is actually a former prison guard and actually a former lieutenant. And so he said something that, in my opinion, was extremely foul, disrespectful, egregious, and 100% wrong. He labeled some Mexicans in prison known as the Paisas as chomos / child molesters. Now, in prison, especially in prison, but anywhere on God's green earth, I believe, calling a person a child molester is definitely something that's going to be alarming and have people look at you different. So to label a person a child molester is one thing. To label a whole group of people a child molester is something extremely different. And let me show you this video of what exactly he said.
Why? Because I didn't like what this individual did and what he said, you know. So there goes the clip, right?
Concise lawful order in English. Let's see the Paisa. And they listen. I'm gonna say they're all child molesters anyways. Nah, Hector, that's all right. I'm getting silly with it.
Now, of course, I believe that Hector, being a former prison guard, he knows saying something like that is extremely inflammatory. And had he said that while he was working in prison, 2 Paisas in prison, calling them all child molesters, it definitely would have got, in my opinion, violent. You know, somebody, you cannot allow a person to label you like this, especially when it's not true. Of course, when it's not true, and not do something to that person. Calling a person a child molester in prison is the worst thing you can label a person as. You know, it's above snitches, it's above rapists, it's above anything, right? And so some people may have said, okay, well, you know, yeah, chill, I saw the video and he said it, but he said it in somewhat of a joking manner. Well, first and foremost, that's definitely nothing to joke with. About a person's reputation doing something like that, alarming and disturbing on a minor is horrific, right, to say the least. I believe that Hector, being a former lieutenant, he knows that that's not something that should be said. Back to some people who may have said, well, hey, you know what? He said it, but he was jokingly. Like I said, it's nothing to joke about. But what I tried to do to give him the benefit of the doubt is I tried to find the video that he said that in so I could play the original video, and I wouldn't have to use a clip of another YouTuber commented about it. So in the course of trying to find that video, I was driving home. I had about a 30-minute drive. So I started looking at other videos, and this is what I also found him saying in another video. So let's check this out.
Did you feel any kind of way towards the SNY inmates, like just being around them, knowing that they were like a particular way?
The child molesters.
How do you and your staff feel about child molesters in particular?
It's all bad. It's all bad. They're accessible to the other
Have
inmates.
you guys ever accidentally dropped a form that shows that fucking?
You can tell. You can tell who they are.
Because their behavior?
Their demeanor, their behavior, their soft smoke. I mean, they're gross, man. To me, they're monsters. They're soft-spoken, older dudes, older white guys, older paisas. They fit like a criteria, and I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but they're not your typical gang member. They're your quiet, kind of weird, kind of off to the side.
So basically right there, you see that he's somewhat doubled down on it, or at least that due to his experiences, this is something that he has become to believe over a period of time, right? And so let me tell you why, in my opinion, I think that this is a dangerous and extremely inflammatory and definitely disrespectful and wrong thing to say. In my opinion, the reason I believe that is so dangerous to say is because you have a lot of people, I believe, more people than not, who have not been to prison, who watch these prison channels, especially his channel, because I believe that people want to get things from the perspective of a guard. I think it's safe to agree you have more people than not who disagree with the actions of prisoners who go to prison. You know, most people believe that people who go to prison deserve to be in prison, right? So now when you have people watching his channel who has never been to prison, by him being a former prison guard, at one time he was an attachment and a connection of law enforcement, right? And I think it's safe to say that for whatever reason, you have a lot of people who automatically assume when they see people don any type of uniform that's connected with law enforcement, whether it's police, sheriffs, even prison guards, right? You have a lot of people who will automatically assume that these people aren't liars. They have a higher integrity. They have different morals, and they're trustworthy, and they're infallible without fault, right? So you may have people who watch Hector's show, and if Hector says that, okay, this specific group is child molesters, then he is painting a very dangerous narrative, because you will have people who may assume, okay, he has worked under these conditions, he has had access to their files, so this guy knows. He has encountered plenty of them in his tenure as a guard, and so you have some people who may tend to believe that, and believe that every person that they encounter who they consider as a paisa is a child molester, which is extremely far from the truth. And so he should have never said that. In my opinion, he should have maybe said something along the lines of, I encountered more of this group who had those charges than others, but to paint them all as child molesters, man, was extremely just wrong. It's no trying to defend what he said, right? This is one of my biggest pet peeves, when a person will try to paint an entire race or group with one broad stroke, saying that, you know, they're all this. No entire group of anything, whether it's hockey players, churchgoers, politicians, prisoners, basketball players, no entire group of anything all falls under one specific topic, right? And so that's just wrong. You know, you cannot say that a group of people all have the same characteristic, or they all do this. I can't remember which, but Hector has served in some type of form of the armed forces, whether it was the Army or the Marines. Obviously, of course, he's been a prison guard. He wasn't just a guard. He excelled to the position of lieutenant. So I say all that to say that it seems like he should have more of an education in that area than to label someone, an entire group. I feel that he should have more education to label an entire group something as so undesirable and hated as a child molester. It reminds me one time when I was maybe about 18 or 19, maybe about 18 years old. I was in Billings, Montana. I was at the YMCA. tying up my shoes, getting ready to go play some basketball. And a dude asked me, he said, "Hey man, you want to hear a funny joke about Indians?" I immediately cussed him out and told him to get the hell away from me. And you know why I did that? It's because I felt that the second I walked away from hearing his joke about an Indian, when another person came up, he would have been telling a negative joke about black people. Regardless of a person's race, or at least in my mind, when I was in prison, I'm always going to be on the side of a convict before I ever take the side of a guard. It's always convicts together over the guards, despite any type of political division that we have going on in prison historically. Because at the end of the day, another convict can't send me to the hole. Another convict can't write a 115 up on me and possibly get me more time. Another convict can't take away my visits. Another convict cannot just randomly come in my cell and search my property and go through my items and leave my cell all in disarray and things like that, right? So I'm never going to take the side of a person who is working in unison with the system that has me locked up over the side of a person who's in the same predicament as I am. So in closing, I have went on the record several times in saying that as a YouTuber, I believe that everybody has the right to talk about anything that they want to talk about. Though in the California prison system, you definitely have people who group themselves off, whether it's by race or whether it's by gang affiliation. And sometimes when something happens with the Crips, you'll hear other people say, well, you know what? That's a Crip situation. If something may happen with the whites, you'll hear people say, okay, yeah, man, that's a white situation. We're not going to get involved. But in this particular instance, for those who like to hold us YouTubers who have been to prison to a certain code of ethics or whatever, when you have a person like Hector, who, while he was in prison, but he didn't function as a Mexican, he didn't function as a paisano or a paisa, or he didn't function as any other thing than a prison guard, one cannot label this as Mexican business. This is merely a person who was a former prison guard speaking on a collective. And I just thought that it was important to add that right there, because, you know, you have certain individuals who will have a different type of understanding or want to use a different type of reasoning to make things about race, when this is definitely not about that at all. So anyway, you already know what it is. It's your boy 16 to life. Resume normal program.